What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Popcorn People Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, we are going to be breaking down the Golden Globes that just transpired a few moments ago. There's definitely a lot to talk about here, and I'm very excited to talk about them because Dom and I'm sure we'll have, quote unquote, a lot to say about the awards. So you might have a special guest join in here in just a little bit. But for me, Dom, how are you today, man?
What's popping, gurnals? I'm good, man. It's some of these there are some surprises, and not in the good way for me at least. I was a little shocked on some of them.
Yeah, it was what's the word I'm looking for? It was a night. It was definitely a night. There was it started off strong, right? It started off strong with us getting lots of love for some good performances that I love personally. I know that you're a big fan of as well. But then on the flip side of it, we ended the night, not as strong because I don't know, man. I just the brutalist thing is
I know.
Look, we know what's going on. This Sunday, we're going to be in LA. We're going to be checking out the Critics' Choice Awards together. We'll be out there doing our thing like we did last year. And the big thing with that is I'm really hoping it's not a brutalist night. You know what I mean? Look, it's just not that type of film for me. For me personally, any film but that would do. But you know what I mean? Like it's just.
And that's I think what people don't realize too is that was something that had so much buzz before we saw it. You want to like it. You want to be like, okay, let me see what the hype is about. And then you're just like, okay. I mean, the first half is good, but then I don't know, man. And I do want to say first thing first, though. Shout out to Nikki Glaser for doing a phenomenal job.
It's crazy because whenever you log into Twitter and after you watch her kind of kill, people are like, "Oh my God, she's hilarious." I'm like, "Are you new to Nikki Glaser?"
I know
that girl is. First off, you should have found out about her when it was the Tom Brady roast because she was the MVP of that Tom Brady roast, right? You know what I mean? Like to me, that was massive. It was huge. Like that was to me was awesome. However, you know what I mean? New people are getting used to what she's bringing to the table, but she was a fantastic host. You know what I mean? Fantastic host, and not surprising. The jokes were perfect to a T.
Mm-hmm.
Loved everything about them. But before we jump in and kind of talk about, and we're not going to break down every category here. We don't have 4 hours, especially since the show ran over a little bit. But I just want to throw in my little podcast partner over on the Award Central podcast, Benji. What time is it there, Benji?
It's first of all, excuse any background noises. Don't worry about it, mate. I've just got somebody in the same room as me just making some food, but it is currently 4:15 in the morning.
4:15 in the morning. My man over in the UK joining us to talk about the Golden Globes that were. It was definitely a brutalist watch, for me. But yeah, let's talk about the early stages of the show. Kieran Culkin, Zoe Saldana, looks like they're on their way to kind of sweep the award season, which isn't much of a surprise to any of us, right, Dom?
No, that's definitely what I expected. And my wife, she watched about 3/4 of the awards, and as soon as those two names came up, I was like, "You're going to see the name a lot through award season."
100%, Benji.
Yeah, no, they were completely expected. I think the first 3 categories I found pretty predictable. Then all of a sudden it was surprise, 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 surprise throughout the whole night. But yeah, no, it was a fun evening, that's for sure.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of crazy when you think about it because I mean, obviously, we'll tackle the musical comedy category first in talking about the 2 big wins there with Demi Moore for The Substance and Sebastian Stan for A Different Man. So the thing about it is neither one of these is really kind of a surprise per se because there was a lot of people predicting both of them to take it home. Hugh Grant had seemed to get a lot of momentum over the last, few weeks or whatever because of just Heretic just getting that love. But we'll start on the male actor side, for Sebastian Stan, A Different Man, this was much needed for him because 24 has dropped the ball. And that there's an infamous fifth slot in this acting category that is wide open. And Daniel Craig is kind of, got a half of a foot in there. But Sebastian Stan needed this win. And Benji, you agree there, right?
I agree, and honestly, at this point, I'm more confident in saying that Sebastian Stan is probably the fifth slot over Daniel Craig. I'm waiting to kind of see where nominations lie with BAFTA in particular, and where maybe who wins at, well, not who wins, but kind of what films in general prevail at the CCAs and BAFTA, because with them you can then kind of slot together other categories. But yeah, no, I'd say if I had to choose the number 5 slot for the Oscars, I'd probably say Sebastian Stan 60%, Daniel Craig 40%. I think whoever was going to win that comedy musical category was kind of doomed to be the predicted number 5, because I think Daniel Craig, ever since that movie came out and it kind of got its precedent, he was slipping and slipping, and he was able to hold on because it's a great performance. But I just think there's other work out there that people are a lot more passionate about, with performances out there that people care more to see get nominated.
Dom, yeah, you and I saw A Different Man in theaters together, and we thought at that given time when we saw that performance was kind of a lockdown. We're gonna hear about this all award season, and it's kind of went to the other side, and that's kind of surprised you, right?
Yeah, and I think we talked about it last week, maybe about like, is he going to get the love that he deserves? But, and we were talking about how A24 dropped the ball in pushing this movie. And, I think also with him winning this, we'll also get a resurgence maybe once it hits like streaming heavy, that people will actually, it'll get a second life, because besides critics and cinephiles, I don't believe like the general public was talking about this film. And it's definitely one that was stayed in my mind, like, from the time we saw it till now.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing about it is it's crazy because I almost feel, and this is not for a fact, but it almost feels like they kind of stood away from Stan just based off the Apprentice situation, because that movie is quite controversial. Obviously, he was nominated tonight, and he brought it up in his speech, which I thought was like a chef's kiss. You know what I mean? I'm not the biggest Apprentice fan, but the shout out to that film, even knowing that he was nominated for that film later that night, it didn't matter. I felt it was important and poignant that he brought that film up the way that he did. But I have a feeling that performance in The Apprentice and that kind of controversy that surrounded him, I mean, look at him on the stage. He won the movie. He won for lead actor for A Different Man, and yet still brought up The Apprentice. So anybody that would have sat down and had a conversation with him when Variety apparently tried and nobody wanted to be with him, they knew if it was just going to be focused on A Different Man, maybe they would have done it. But they knew that The Apprentice was going to get brought up. And this day and age, I mean, nobody wants to talk about that guy anyway. So moving along to not a big surprise, but maybe the win that might have put me full circle into finally putting Demi Moore into my 5. Demi Moore winning for this.
What did I tell you, Ricky? What did I tell you?
Look, I know we talked about it, and it was a hope and a prayer. And to be honest with you, all I have to say is, the best thing about this night was Honora didn't win shit, okay? It didn't win anything. And to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of Demi Moore's performance in The Substance. I think that it was just okay. But if we continue this award season with that movie getting blanked, I'll be happy. However, she's probably going to win Critics' Choice. I wholeheartedly believe Mikey Madsen will win CCA on Sunday. You can lock it down. You can put it in Sharpie. Mm-hmm. I definitely think that's happening. However, Demi Moore has solidified her and inserted herself into the conversation for the race, and maybe into the conversation as being 1A, 1B with Mikey, depending on how the next few months go. Benji, I know you're happy. You're a big Substance guy. Tell me about how you felt.
It was the first and only scream that it got off of me tonight. I know that you say that it wasn't particularly a surprise, but I don't know why, but I just really got in my head that Mikey Madsen was going to win, and that Demi Moore.
He tweeted it out, folks. He tweeted it out amongst it. He was so ready for her to win. He tweeted it out by accident.
Yeah, and then I had to quickly make a check. I was literally, because in my head I was so ready for Mikey Madsen to win, and because I got so excited when she won, I just tapped the photo of her and just because I was just so kind of in my own head with shock and euphoria all at once. But no, genuinely ecstatic. I mean, I know that you've only just got around to predicting that she could get nominated. I'm honestly at this point thinking that she could win. I think that Enora has really shown tonight that it has gone down on the leaderboard more than a lot of people were predicting. And I've been trying to tell people for ages that I don't think it is what they think it is, and I don't think it's going to be this big awards player come the end of the day. And I'm still waiting for Oscars nomination morning where Sean Baker could get snuff the director. That's how confident I'm getting at this point. And I think Emilia Perez and The Substance in particular tonight, they had a massive boost, and we need to start looking at those films more particularly now. I think director is, I'm not going to say locked up this early, but it's pretty far out in the lead. But then picture, screenplay categories, acting categories, we need to really reassess those in particular.
Yeah, Dom, as somebody that is fully cemented in the Mikey Madsen fan club, this was a little bit of a blow for you. What did you think of the category?
Look, man, I know that every year when it comes to award shows, there's trends and a kind of a social push, and it seems like this year has been like a celebration of the OGs actresses, the ones that we've been watching, that our parents watched, right? And we saw a lot of, at the mention of, her and Pam, and, we have Hacks always winning awards. So once you start seeing the trend, you don't become surprised. But once I heard her name, I was like, I mean, I'm not mad at it per se. I wasn't like, she wasn't someone I was rooting for. I like the concept of the movie, but I think I liked Margaret's performance better. So I don't know, man. I thought Mikey was for sure, like, she's been all over the place. I mean, every time I get on my phone, Mikey here, there. So I'm like, oh, she's got to be a shoo-in. And, she gets knocked out. So it is what it is. It is very surprising, though.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, it's crazy because you see a lot of people chattering online. It felt like a two-legged race, and seeing Demi win. Look, the only thing that I actually enjoyed about her win was the way her daughter reacted on in the video. I love that. That was a great reaction video. But other than that, just throw the entire film in the garbage can. But yeah, moving along. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. That was definitely me. Speaking of garbage movies, let's talk about The Brutalist. When it's crazy to me how you have Conclave win screenplay. And then it was like, oh, Conclave won screenplay. It's probably now going to win picture for the night. And that was how you felt probably from the moment Conclave won, or from the moment it won screenplay to the announcement of Best Picture, right? Because you knew it wasn't going to win director. Brady's probably running away with this Oscar. Corbet's going to win the Oscar. I think you can almost lock that key and throw it away almost. I don't think The Brutalist is going to win Best Picture, but I definitely foresee director being done. I think it's done now. And it is what it is. But picture still, I think, is up for grabs. But Benji, were you shocked that after hearing the screenplay, you heard The Brutalist win Best Picture?
Yes and no. I thought it was pretty 50-50. I think Conclave is the type of movie that still very much has a chance. And to be honest, I'm not really going to give up on hope that another movie could win Best Picture until the PGA, because I really feel like the PGA could go with Conclave. It's just the type of thing that they do before. They like very kind of, I'm not sure, I wouldn't say Conclave is particularly easygoing, but, kind of movie's very easy to understand, very character driven, very dialogue driven. And out of all the Best Picture nominees, that's just what
not
Conclave
7 hours long.
There is that as well, and with that screenplay win as well, that could really go in its favor. The only thing that makes me doubt it a little bit is that I can't really see it winning any other category except screenplay and Best Picture if it was to go down that path that night. The Brutalist, I was kind of during the night when Conclave won screenplay, I did kind of do the same thing. I went, oh, okay, it's probably going to win picture. But the moment Adrian Brody won actor over Timothée Chalamet, I was like, yeah, no, Brutalist has got this.
Yeah. It's. I mean, it's crazy to see how that kind of unfolds and watching. I think Conclave still have a chance. I still think that. I mean, honestly, if you think about it, it almost pinpoints the idea that it could be a Conclave Brutalist. I think lead actor is not sewn up quite yet. I do think if Brody takes CCA and then he takes SAG, then it's kind of over there. But a film that I am very happy that got peppered with love tonight, even though Twitter loves to hate it. Amelia Perez had a huge night. And a night that all of the haters got to eat some crow on, because again, there's a lot of people that consistently say, hey, this movie just isn't it, right? And it's Amelia Perez is not going to do this, and Amelia Perez is not going to do that. And it keeps showing up everywhere at every turn. Tonight, it stood its ground. I really thought Ariana Grande was going to win supporting actress tonight, just based on the idea that it was different for the Globes, but it turned out that Wicked was more Barbie than it was anything else. Dom, as a fellow Amelia Perez lover with the cap on right now, how happy were you to see Amelia Perez kind of get that love it deserved tonight?
No, it's a great wins, and I think it's also like for all the kind of negativity it's gotten, it's a big like middle finger to those people who don't like it, because I think part of the reason why these people don't like it is a it's a lack of understanding of creativity, or a lack of, we're so used to seeing the same type of thing, whether it's a different movie or not. People get comfortable with the things they're used to, and with this movie being something that most of us have never seen anything like this before, I mean, I don't know how you can't see the film and not be taken aback when you watch it. And even if it's a negative taken aback, it's something that's so creative that you have to go, this is worthy of something. And the same thing with me with like The Substance. I was taken aback by the premise, by like the script. Even if I didn't fully love the execution, like this is different, and I love it. So I think that's where Amelia Perez that really shines is in its creativity, and its it represents the otherness, and the film itself is the otherness as well. So yeah, big wins. I'm so glad that Zoe is finally, like, it sucks, like with Demi, you're getting this love late in your career, but at least you're finally getting it. And sometimes it just takes the slow grind is, sometimes what it takes, and it's good to see.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I know Benji's also a fellow Amelia Perez lover. The one thing I will say about Amelia Perez that I wish would have happened tonight, when it won. Now, who delivered the speech when it won Best Motion Picture? I missed it.
It was Carla Sofia Gaston.
She did. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
I didn't see that part, so that makes me happy. So that makes me take back what I was going to say, because I was like, she deserved that moment at some point in time in this night. And if they wouldn't have given it to her during the non-English language thing and didn't get musical comedy, I would have been a little upset, because I feel like the movie is her and it needed to be her. So I'm glad she gave that speech there, and I can't wait to watch it later. I just was like, oh my God, please end the show. But Amelia Perez, where do you think it lines up, Benji, in the Best Picture race right now?
Christ, that's a loaded question. So, my number one at the moment is probably Brutalist. So I'm just kind of working out now in my head. Then if I was to go with my number two, I'd probably say Conclave, as I think it has a good shot of winning PGA. So I say Amelia Perez is comfortably in my number three, etching it into number two. I've been telling people for ages now, don't doubt it. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean industry voters won't like it. But I mean, the fact it's gotten showered with long and shortlist nominations, it got 10 Golden Globe nominations. The movie clearly has something going for it, and the people within the industry love it. And I kind of, to Dom's point, it's just got such an original creativeness to it that, and I think a lot of people do respect the way in which it's trying to go and how creative it's trying to be. So I'd probably put it at number three. And again, I hate to go back to the thing I always say, but the reason I'm struggling to maybe it's got supporting actress, which usually goes well with Best Picture, but I don't really think it's going to win screenplay or director, which is my one hesitation, but it's up there. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's definitely one of those movies that's in the conversation. Now, if we look at the long list to wins tonight, one of the interesting, maybe not interesting, people were predicting it, but Best Motion Picture Animated went to Flow. I thought this was an interesting win. I thought for sure Wild Robot would probably win. I still think Wild Robot might win the Oscar, but it definitely feels like it's a Flow versus Wild Robot thing. Dom, what did you think of Flow winning tonight?
I'm with the same mindset. Is that I think it is a race between the Wild Robot and Flow. I think, for a while we were all thinking Inside Out 2 and Wild Robot were going to be kind of heavy contenders. There was a lot of Memoir of a Snail kind of talk coming, and that's one of my favorite ones as well. But I've watched Flow. I think on the second watch, I loved it the first time. Then the second one, I was like, this is gonna do. This is. I mean, it's the same kind of thing that we talked about with Amelia Perez. I mean, it's creative. When you have a story that you can deliver without dialogue, which is what we talked about before with the Wild Robot, should have done the same exact thing, and it might have hit a little harder. And instead of going off to this child adventure, you have something that is sophisticated and can appeal to all ages without having the dialogue. I think it's going to be something that that has picked up steam over the past 2 or 3 months. It's been every kind of group I've seen. I mean, Flow has been the talk. I wasn't surprised. I think, once we eventually talk CCA ballots, I may or may not have voted for it on mine.
Oh, little spoiler alert right there. Spoiler alert right there. Yeah, definitely. Benji, for you, Wild Robot versus Flow, is that where you see the race right now? He's on mute. It's cool.
Whoops. It's definitely that's definitely the race for now. I mean, I'm not prepared just yet to make predictions because we haven't had the CCA winners, we haven't had any nominations, we haven't had the PJ nominations, all the winners. So I'm going to wait there. I'm going to still have Wild Robot at my number one for now. I don't want to be quite that reactive, but I think Flow's definitely come and taken Inside Out 2's thunder as it being its rival.
You're on mute.
A few tidbits for tonight's Golden Globes. Let's see here. I don't care about any of these because they're all TV. Fernanda Torres became the first Brazilian actress to win. That was a huge win for her. It's a huge win for her to potentially solidify herself in the 5. That 5 is ugly, man. There's like 19 different actresses. I'm very sad because I'm starting to lean to the idea. Yes, the Golden Globes are over. I'm leaning to the idea that Angelina Jolie might not get nominated, and that doesn't sit well for me because I think her performance is fantastic. Let's see here. Sebastian Stan became the first Romanian actor to win Best Actor in a Motion Picture Comedy. These are all TV. Who cares about TV? Actually, to be honest with you, I'm so glad Shogun swept because it is one of the best, if not probably my favorite show of 2025 or 4. I loved it quite a bit. All right, so before I let you go, Benji, give me some parting thoughts about the Golden Globes tonight.
Well, with this, I've got to be honest with you. Right now, where my predictions stand, I've got Cynthia Erivo and Angelina Jolie out of Best Actress, and I've got Marion Jean-Baptiste and Fernanda Torres in. And also, I just want to say it right now, just in case nobody else does, have either of you two seen I'm Still Here?
What? Yes, I have. Yes.
I love that film. I love that performance. I was just as excited with that one as I was with The Substance. Like, genuinely, I don't want to jump the gun and just say this as it's just happened. I'm excitable, but I feel like in terms of the winners we've got, that was like one of my favorite ceremonies I've ever saw. Like, even if the performance or the film that I wanted to win didn't win, I really liked all the second choices. There wasn't a single win that I particularly hated. I just genuinely really enjoyed that evening. I guess kind of other takeaways is that Anora isn't the number one. I could have told people that for free, but they ignore me. I think it's the Brutalist at the moment. Brady Corbet's pretty high up there for director. Yeah, and Timothy Chalamet, he's got to pray for SAG.
Hey man. Hey, let's not get too crazy, all right? I want to do this a show with you again. You know what I mean? We're planning on doing another show in the future, but I do agree with you. It was a very, very, very sad night for me when it came to Chalamet. I really thought he was going to win tonight. It's deserved. I'm sorry, Brody is not that good in The Brutalist, and if you say he is, I don't like you, Benji. I don't like you. So, but no, I'm kidding. Benji, thank you for joining us tonight, man. Go to freaking bed, dude.
Yeah.
We appreciate you joining us, and you and I will touch base very, 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 very soon as we're going to bring up we got SAG, we got Critics' Choice, those two things right around the corner. So we're going to have, and then of course, once the nominations are almost here, we got to give our final predictions before the Oscar nominations, which are coming January 17th. So look out for Benji and I talking very, 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 very soon. Thank you, Benji, for joining us, man.
Thank you very much. And we'll see you fellas in the future. Bye-bye, folks.
See ya, man. All right, Dom. Now that we've talked about the Golden Globes, did you turn your ballot in yet for the Critics' Choice Awards? You did?
I did it on for Friday. Well, okay. I did it. I did it on Friday. I submitted it on Saturday because I had some sitting there. I did some back and forth, and I was like, I don't know. I struggled with a few. It's hard. It's some of these categories are really hard, especially when it came to actor. I struggled with that one went back and forth on a couple names. I put it there and I switched it and I let it sit there and and you know what, and I know what I had to do specifically for supporting actor. I had two names, and then when I looked at it, I was like, okay, who has the better movie? And that's how I had to kind of go that, because regardless of how good the movie was, you're gonna stand out more if the movie's not as good. So I was like, you know what? Okay, this is my final pick, and it's the one I had originally, but I second guessed myself for a second.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you. There were several categories where I went back and forth. I'm like, what am I going to do here? What am I going to do? There's several categories where I'm like, I'm locked in. I know what I want. I know who I'm going to pick. It's not even a second guess. The thing for me that was really hard is Best Director and Best Picture. And I wanted to go with my heart in one element of understanding that was I going to vote my favorite film of 2024, or was I going to vote the film that I felt deserved of Best Picture?
Right.
And that's where I ended up. I was like, because my number one movie from last year is Dune Part 2, hands down. But I also only gave two movies last year 5 stars, and the other one's Nickel Boys. So I was like, where can I mix this up a little bit and do it one and the other? And that's why ultimately I did. I settled for Nickel Boys as Best Picture, just based on what we've talked about 1,000 times on this podcast, especially when we vote, is voting with the film. Like, what am I thinking of Best Picture? Like the best movie. It's not just well made. It's not just all of the. What's the message? What's the statement? What's the gravitas of what we're bringing to the table for the film? And to me, that film brought all of that to the table, and that's to me where I felt like it felt the right thing to do, because again, it was between those two movies.
Yeah.
But I felt kind of sad a little bit not giving Ramil Ross his love for director, though. It did kind of hurt a little bit, though.
Yeah, I was that's one of the things I was surprised when we saw the directors pop up. I was like, I didn't see Denis's name, I didn't see Ramil's name. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, terrible choices. The Globes director picks were fucking bad, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
And it definitely seemed like they were trying, besides Wicked, they were trying their best to steer away from what was like kind of mainstream, or I don't know. It was a weird, like, you start looking at the faces in the crowd and then you go, did they get like invited as a joke because they ain't getting no kind of love and nomination? They're not getting love on. No, it was weird. It was very weird.
Yeah, and if you look at it at the end of the day, like you're thinking about like how many people have actually seen The Brutalist that watch the Golden Globes?
Yeah.
I again, that's one of those things that I'm very just I don't even know with. But yeah, some of the what are the other ones? Best Actress was kind of hard for me. Best Actress was kind of hard.
Yeah. I can't remember who I figured was gonna win. I think you froze. Or did I freeze for you? No, you're completely frozen. Oh, I can't. You're muted now.
I'm back now. I don't know what happened. What happened? I froze for a minute. I don't know. Best Actress was one for me that was kind of hard. Just man, it's heavy hitters here. You know what I mean? Carl,
Yeah.
Marianne, Angelina. I don't care about Mikey or Demi, but I mean, for you, I know Mikey's in there, but it's like I feel good about our nominations for the most part. There's some in there that I'm like,
Yeah.
What was there a particular category for you that like you let us just put us in your brain a little bit where you're battling between like one or two performances or films and stuff like that?
That's a good question. I think so supporting has been actress was easy. I knew real quick who I wanted. And it was not even, I think it hasn't been a question since like July, August, whenever I saw the movie. Supporting actor was hard. Animation, I went back and forth. Because I really, it was between Memoir and Flow for me. And it was like, and like you said, it was one of those things where you go to message, right? And then, I had to get out of my head a little bit too and say like, when we talked about like animation is a medium and not necessarily for kids. It doesn't have to be for kids. It's a medium. And I was like, so that helped kind of get me out of my head. And some of the technical stuff actually though was a little difficult. Like, once we start, especially when you start getting around like score, because there is so many good ones this year. And then it really just goes on to like, do you go, I picked this because this film was better, or this score made these moments heightened more, or, what, you have to go to like what made this thing this more special than the rest of the category. And, and I know we talked about a little bit, I saw a comment recently, people like, this wasn't the best year for film, and some of these things aren't deserving. And every year, a film is always different because the times are different, because the things that people want to see are different. It doesn't make the movies any less good or any less important. It's just the times have changed. And honestly, it's like, if you're, a part of the old guard and you can accept that the landscape of society is changing, which means the landscape of media, film, television is changing, it might be time to hang it up, bro. You know what I mean? Like we talk about things in politics or in companies where, hey, they're not changing, they're not evolving with the landscape. Well, look, it works in our industry too, man. It's one thing about holding certain things as traditional, or holding certain things like as highly valued, but then once you're like, these things aren't worth my time or my vote because, I don't like the way it's going. Like, get over yourself. I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like it's crazy to say this on a podcast, but sometimes it's exhausting being in this space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is, and it's there's just so much about this space that really is filled with this toxicity that drains you a little bit, because you're like, man, it's like, I can't like this film, or I have to like this film, or if I don't like this
Yeah.
film, I'm this thing. If I like this film, I'm this thing. And it's like, I enjoy art for what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there's a lot of things that I understand that are unacceptable, right? You know what I mean? Like, we understand there's levels of, for an example, like, a few years ago we had Licorice Pizza, which was a full body racist movie, very just a disgusting film, you know what I mean, that was getting praised left and right, you know what I mean, like there's that type of film, you know what I mean. But then like the Amelia Perez thing just has literally just drained me, you know what I mean. Like, I can't post it in my story without like somebody or commenting of like some sort of negativity about the film. And it's like, look, we go on our podcast. This is our podcast. This is the Popcorn People podcast. We say what we want on this podcast. You can say whatever you want on your podcast, but you know what I mean? This is our podcast. We're going to say what we like. We say what we don't like. We're not shy about, what we say. We've never been shy on this podcast, and we take pride in knowing when we like things, because we talk highly of them. You know what I mean? So I don't care about any alternative agenda that you believe Amelia Perez had or didn't have. And it's one of the most unique films that I've saw this year, period.
I think, I mean, Vin Diesel kind of summed it up tonight, where they're talking about blockbuster films essentially. And, we all know that blockbuster movies typically don't get love because they are looked at as films that are lack substance, or they're just there to make money, which all the films are there. Regardless of how you want to make your art, if whether you think it's like the highest of highbrow, you still want to make money, because that's the only way you can make more movies, is to make it money. But yeah, I mean, he talked about that, in his speech or his monologue, that some of these blockbuster films, they go in over borders, and they have lines and dialogue and stories that like we all kind of relate to, because these are the movies that everybody sees, whether it's the Fast franchise, or it's the Marvel movies, or if it's Barbie about to make a second movie, Jurassic Park. These are movies that we all kind of take a bite out of and watch with our friends and our families, because we're not all into the same niche things. But when it comes to something with a broad appeal, we all can enjoy and relate to one another through these movies. So I think he's right that we have to start recognizing these films, and not just because not just the ones that have something super poignant to say, because sometimes these movies, the blockbuster ones, have something to say. It just it might be a little more blatant. It might be a little more surface level, or it might just be like a simple message, like it's about family. But isn't family like the most important thing? Why is that a bad thing? You know what I mean? So I think there's a change coming, because like the industry is in kind of panic mode all over the place, because we're seeing what people want to consume. Now, sometimes it is something really deep, like a Squid Game, that is deep, but also gory and has all these different things, but it has this crazy social, political message. And then you have stuff like Rebel Ridge, or you have, what I mean? Like, there's people are finally voicing what they want to say, and it's showing through streaming numbers. So they get to see. Now, that doesn't mean that if you have something you really want to say in a very detailed, meticulous way, you shouldn't make it. It's just saying that you have to know that you're making this for 100,000 people versus 100 million people, and that's fine. But there is a place for all of this to be able to be celebrated.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy to me, like, it's like, it only won the Cinematic Achievement Award. Like, who cares if it like, who cares? You know what I mean?
The same people that would say that are the same people who argue like, well, these awards for the movies are stupid. Then why are you complaining about this one winning an award in the first place? Because they do care, but they don't want to say that they care.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, folks. We'll probably not probably. We will be off next week unless Dom and I figure out a way to record in the hotel or something like that. We do have a fun weekend planned going out to LA. We're cooking up some stuff in the future. Obviously, this is a little bit of a light month when it comes to movies and stuff like that. I am very excited to check out Den of Thieves. If you are a Regal or AMC Club member, it is the movie mystery tomorrow night. Den of Thieves 2 is going to be the mystery movie tomorrow night, so you can see it early. I don't know if I'm going to see it before we go or if I might just make us go see it in LA. Or maybe we'll go to a stand-up comedy show and get chastised in the front row of it again. You know what I mean? But we'll report all that stuff back to you guys. But before we go, I would not forget, even though we just went on a great little tangent right there that I thought would have been worthy of this, we are going to give Dom his 1 minute to break down some delicious thoughts. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the Popcorn People podcast. Again, for those of you listening on the Award Central podcast, you guys got a little bit of a bonus this week with Dom and I talking. We host a show typically every Sunday, breaking down all the movies that we've seen recently. But we also end the show with Dom Fisher giving one unfiltered minute about anything and everything at all.
Yeah. And this is, sometimes when I do these things, it's for myself as well as everybody else that hears this. If you want to make something or do something, whether it's you want to play an instrument or you want to make a thing, you want to be a content creator, you want to be a chef, whatever your heart desires, just fucking do it, man. More and more as we see what the world is going through, it's more evident than ever that we got one life, man. And it doesn't matter if you are attacking this thing earlier than people think or older than people think you should be. Just fucking do it, because as cliche as it is, tomorrow's not promised, man. It's getting crazy out here. So just try the thing, do the thing. And if people don't like it, who cares? Because you like it. Just keep doing it. And eventually you'll reach the right people. And you'll evolve as you do it. You'll get better. And yeah, so, I know you've seen people like the Gary V's of the world or the Mark Cubans, and they say these type of things. And sometimes it's hard to hear it from the billionaires or the millionaires. And, but it's true. Just do it. I didn't think, if you were to talk to me, 6 years ago, I wouldn't think that I'd be part of the Critics' Choice. I wouldn't be interviewing all these people, but I took a chance, and my wife, she pushed me a little bit, and here we are, doing things that I never, and rubbing elbows with people I never imagined. And hell, I wouldn't even know Ricky if my wife didn't give me this push. So yeah, just do the thing, do the fucking thing. Who cares what people think? And that's it, go do it. And, just love yourself, love doing what you want to do, and yeah, enjoy the day. I think you're on mute, bro. Where you from?
My back. I don't. Oh. I know I'm froze. I know. I'm okay. Now can you hear me?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise, I don't know what's going on tonight. This has been trying to figure this out. This is the first time there. But yes, what he said. Oh, real quick question. This guy popped in a question. We always like to answer the question. What was your favorite winner of the night? Go ahead and give it to him.
Oh, my favorite winner of the night. Ooh, it had to be Zoe. It was Zoe Saldana. That was my favorite.
Yep, mine too. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back very soon.